This video we're going to focus on solely on the last update, the cause, the effect, the chaos. I'm just kidding. We'll lay out the facts, stay a while, check it out. This was a massive update to the code that really no one is talking about on the Discord. It's like it happened, there was a day or two of confusion, and then poof. Really, not much chatter from the community. No chatter from the devs either, unless you DM them like I did. So in this video, I'm going to lay out everything. For those of you not in the know, Vanilla is more like Classic than ever before, whether you like it or not. I've posted links in the description that you should probably take a look at if you're curious. There are numbers for the new rates. And yes, you read that correctly. Old school RuneScape, or RuneScape 2, was based off of RuneScape Classic in many ways, and the figures are posted over there instead of Classic Wiki for some reason. But that gives you a general gist of what you're looking at as far as experience rates look like in Vanilla now. I mean, also the regular RSC Wiki makes a lot more sense now as far as using it, its training pages and the such as guides. So we're just gonna go through everything one by one. Changes were made to the following: the kitten to cat bank bug, agility, cooking, fishing, gems and gem cutting, mining, wood cutting, fire making, and thieving. We also have a Hall of Fame for people who were in the, first to 99, and then they have first to 100 million coins. Call me crazy, but I feel like I've seen this already. It feels like deja vu. Maybe they just teased this earlier on. I don't know. I feel like I've seen it, but it's a cool thing to have. But let's just go through like each one of these one by one and how they're affected by the update. I'll tell you what I know so far. I'll lay out the facts, just talk all things update today, because like I said, this is a really big one. I mean, you got to think like a lot of the code was adjusted or changed, and if we were able to see that before and after, I think it would probably be a shocking amount, because this is a lot of shit for sure. Okay, so first off, I'll say let's go to gems and gem cutting and mining. So, I mean, so far what I know is that crush rates for things like the opal and the jade have been adjusted. Also, mining fail rates at high levels have been adjusted. Pretty much all levels have been adjusted, but there's a certain thing that they did with high levels. So say you're 90 plus mining, you would still have a 10% chance of failing on iron ore. Which that just wasn't right, and they knew this, so that's post-update, that's no longer a thing. But if you will notice, most of you are not 90 plus mining. You'll fail more on coal, and that's a big giveaway. You're just gonna fail more, and that's a common theme throughout this whole update. With the exception of agility. So we'll go to agility. It's better. In that failing obstacles is fixed. You say you would fail obstacles at a pretty high rate, even at high level, and we say goodbye to that with the update, and that's a welcomed addition. I would fail that rope swing in Yanil as constantly, but now I don't, so that's good. Let's say cooking. Cooking was next on the list, so that has a lot to do with the cooking gauntlets not burning sharks after 94. So if you chose cooking gauntlets over goldsmithing gauntlets like I did, and you've regretted it since day one and can't go back in time, well, you're in store for a treat, as they now work like they should after the update. So hooray. So cooking sort of ties into fishing, so we'll do that one next. first I'll cover sharks and how that has changed, like so much. So much so that a player with 99 fishing is still going to fail constantly, averaging anywhere from 5 to 8 minutes per inventory. So shout out Lone Lamer. I'll flash this up on screen for doing this and putting some numbers out there. He is 99 fishing. This is his work, not mine. But he says sharks are now even more of a bougie food than they were before. For perspective, these fail success rates and times are what we used to expect in the 76 to 80 level ranges before the update. So, in layman's terms, shark fishing wasn't fun in the least bit before the update, and now it's bordering on atrocious. So if you can't catch sharks yourself, ration those bitches with extreme authority, or just fish sorties and lobbies and insert them as, it's some of the fastest cooking experience that you can make other than fly fishing and eating everything that you catch. There's so few people that even do that. It's just, you don't have an endless supply of feathers for that. It's not really practical. But it is still faster. But you got to remember, like back in the F2P days of Classic, lobbies and sorties were like gold, man. So, most people completed Dragon Slayer with like salmon or worse. Shrimps. But yeah. And then even further back in like 2001, you wanted pizza because it could be eaten in pieces. It's saving inventory space because you don't even have a bank. So that's some real fucking RuneScape historian shit for you. But yeah, I wonder where that guy is anyway. Yeah, here are my numbers for lobbies at the guild and how they compare to the old. I'm going to flash this up on screen too. You can pause it and look at it if you're interested. Basically, there are before and after the update numbers, and as you can see, my experience rates dropped by 11,000 an hour for fishing and 15,000 an hour for cooking. 15 an hour. It's dramatic, man. I would say the numbers in fishing and cooking align with that of the wiki now. So say if they ran a baseline test at level 70, as it shows on their page, and then these numbers that I got make sense because I was 11 levels above their baseline. So the numbers appear to be correct to me, and yeah, that's how much of an advantage we had before on paper. Yeah. It was more than you would get fly fishing currently by what, like 5-6K an hour? Again, steroid era confirmed. Yeah, I didn't need any more proof after that test. So moving on to thieving. Now, before we even knew about the update, Duck noticed the rates, and they noticed they were suddenly awful, and we all thought something was buggy. So I remember immediately we all sort of banded together and started testing heroes, paladins, gnomes for about like 2-3 hours, or we were just completely vexed. Anyways, before even a post was made on Discord, so, which in my honest opinion was sort of lame. Why change so much and give so little in the way of information to the player base? I mean, I'm not even going to pretend like I know. But anyway, thieving is much the same as fishing as far as a massive decrease in your overall experience due to the rate of failing. The rate is completely flipped. For instance, I took a sample that I had recorded of me thieving the hero before the update. I studied it like the Zapruder film, right? Each attempt I marked down. I got a 5-to-2 success to fail ratio, whereas after the update it looks like it's flipped, and it's like a 5-to-3 fail to success ratio. So yeah, the hero is pretty bad, man. It's no longer a thing. The thieving rates on paladins, as tested by Dunk, which I'll flash on the screen right now, they look quite awful compared to the past. So that whole skill is now different, and to me the most affected by the update, bar none. you'd probably be better off thieving guards and knights to 99 as opposed to moving up if, experience per hour were your only goal. And I only really ever thieved because of what I got out of it. So, the incentive was the loot, basically. So that whole video that I made about thieving a few months back, yeah, so much has changed that video doesn't even count anymore. It does, however, give some accurate numbers on the Sailor and the Twisted and his patented shit buff, so I'll keep it up with a note probably. But what are you gonna do? At the time, I had no idea that was good. I was saying what I was saying was all based on lies. But again, that shit buff is a very useful tool for people thieving with over 67 agility. Anything to keep your prey alive longer, I guess. But so in order to, I guess, gain, hundreds of thousands of crafting experience from fire orbs, you would have to sit at that hero for fucking 6 months. So before the update, we were making millions on high alching fire battle staffs. We're getting a shit ton of crafting experience per staff on top of getting an astronomical thieving experience. So that update really tanked that plan. You also got like just enough gold to sort of supplement smithing. Like not a ton, but ever so often you could smelt all your ores into bars and then, or you could make golden bowls or whatever you're going to do with them. And then you got diamonds with all that. So you could build a pretty big stack of diamonds for when you hit 70 crafting. So like I said, that update really killed that whole thing. And I personally won't be going for a higher crafting level by spinning bowstrings either because, drum roll, wood cutting and fletching is also a bit borked now. I averaged something like 20 minutes per inventory on magic logs. Something that used to take around 6 to 7 minutes at 88 wood cutting. So do the math on that one. The skill of wood cutting has been pretty heavily affected by the update, I would say, to say the least. Not like you can't do it anymore, it's just going to take away from your whole life, just like everything else. But yeah, I actually went and attempted yews and willows and just kind of did more in the way of discovery with that one. I would say willows are probably your best shot to 99. But I mean, as far as making money goes, per hour, that skill has really been, like I said, borked. It's just going to take you way more time. So, and it used to be possible for a player to get 1,000 magic logs in one day. I mean, that's coming from Lone Lamer, the king of grind. I probably never went over like 500, I would say, in a single day. So now I would be like ecstatic if I got like 200, 250. But yeah, that's a long, grindy day, and it's pretty god-awful. So I'd recommend fletching arrows for sure, because it's probably not a bad idea. Or if you want to get a 99, cut willows, because that's probably your way to go. But yeah, finally, I would say the verdict is still out for fire making. I'm just going to assume that it has more to do with lower levels. I noticed zero difference between then and now, and I am 68 or 69 fire making. I noticed nothing, so it's probably a low level thing. I didn't see anyone say any details about that one. The kitten to cat bank bug is something that I've heard people complain about in the past, but I've never really tried. There is a way to get death runes out of all that, I think. I'm not sure how many, though. Comment if you've done it before, or if you're just downright ecstatic for the return of kitties. It's good to see something that should have worked since the beginning now work as it should. So that's a nice thing to see. So we went over the main changes, I would say. So now it's time to talk about what this all means for you, I guess, the vanilla diehard as a whole. I would say players that played vanilla since day one in 2018 to August 11th, 2022 are now part of what I like to call the steroid era. We have an asterisk next to our names for the skills mentioned above, especially thieving, like it or not. Wood cutting and fishing probably second most, but not nearly as much as thieving. On the other hand, we did have it tougher with agility and cooking, apparently. But I wouldn't say either one of those skills were harder than thieving was easier by comparison. I should state for the record that I never knew about these rates being different. I asked around and no one else said anything either. I will say this. While this update made a lot of things in the endgame harder, I'm sort of all for it. Do I wish that this was this way from the beginning? Yeah. Do I wish someone would have said something enlightening to the dev team earlier? Yeah. Do I wish I would have had a 99 in thieving before the update? Yeah, you betcha. But we're here now. So yeah. I guess also I'll add, rune farming is pretty wrecked. And an important underlying thing that was affected. There's going to be a dip in the number of combat runes in the game economy, like chaos, death, and blood. They'll only trickle in now at the speed of smell compared to the steroid era. So now, how much that will affect you and your bottom line, I can only speculate, but the prices may go up, they may not. But the facts, there will be less of them entering the game now through the avenue of high-level thieving. I can say that with an absolute certainty. And on the other side of that, I think nature runes may actually dip down to like 600 or the low end of whatever that is on the price guide. I feel like Personally, I'm going to use them more to superheat than high elk. It's more now, right now, what I'm doing as I go for 70 smithing or 70 plus smithing by the time I release this video or whatever this is going to be. Yeah, superheating may take over all of the nat stack, at least for me anyway. But yeah, we're here now. I would have liked to have seen a detailed changelog or patch notes on the website, so we weren't completely in the dark at the time, which we were. Like I said, we were in game, noticing the effects of it before the post was even made on Discord. But yeah, man, that website just has such a nice and carefully thought out patch note for Dynasty from the day before. I have no idea what any of this means, but it's there to reference. You know, I can read it plain as day, no guesswork from anyone as to what changed over there. So that's probably my biggest gripe, man. Just the lack of insight as far as what changed overnight, what was presented to the player base. I mean, I've voiced my concerns. People probably think I just DM Fate like 600 times a night, which I don't. But I've voiced my concerns, and it looks like maybe as far as getting some better, more in-depth details in the future, we may get that. So when in doubt, ask. I could have very easily made some sort of a half-assed reaction video the day after this update with zero content. Or anything behind it, but I didn't do that because I suspected that there was way more to this, and at some point we would be given even more figures or context. I waited a while, to put this video out, and we still don't have anything else to add to this, so maybe we won't get a changelog or patch notes. I mean, who's to say? The wiki makes more sense than it did. So I say, when in doubt, look to the wiki. If changelogs or patch notes are ever posted, I will come back to this very video and post links in the description so you can go read them if that day ever comes. But yeah, we're more like RuneScape Classic. The code base is being refined slowly but surely over time. Now, what your opinion is of that happening now, as opposed to the beginning, I mean, it's all up to you and how you want to see the world. But like I said in a past video, I'm gonna give less opinions in these and just speak the truth here. So I guess if I had to talk about any kind of potential future update that I would want, I would say go for the client itself. Updates to the client itself would be great. You could run more than one client. You could have RSC Plus with all kinds of options. I would be all for that, as long as they weren't advantageous to new players or a disadvantage to old players, and weren't enabled by default. I would be in the camp who is all for that. A Rune Light styled client that you could have tickable options for all sorts of things. I mean, it's a tough one to do, because if you put it to a vote, half of the people voting now would be Dynasty players, and you can't have that. So it's kind of impossible to do a poll in that Discord right now. So I would say, if you're feeling it, ask the player base, see what they say. If the majority is for it, go for it. If not, don't do it. But yeah, that's one of the big updates I would like to see in the future. But I'm not holding my breath, though. It would be awesome. But yeah, the majority of vanilla people, I don't think, would go for it. They kind of shut down the last update last Easter. So we're a tough crowd to sell shit to, I would say. We don't budge much in the way of change. That's why we play vanilla. But I don't want to go so far off into the weeds on my opinions. Just keep the bulk of this factual for the people who didn't know. You got to remember, there's a pretty big group of players who still haven't even logged in yet or know about the update and what changed, So I hope this was informative. So we talked a little current update and the potential future updates. I mean, if you have any suggestions or comments, leave it below. Hell, send it to the devs. I'm sure even if they don't reply, they read them all. And if you do think that something is off in the game and have proof, let them know. Don't just shitpost, community. A word that I hate so much, but I sort of have to use here. It's really key. So speak up and tell them what you want. Tell them what you hate. Tell them you hate yourself. That's a good one. Write a full-page essay about how you hate yourself and send it to Fate for a laugh. That's your homework assignment. All right. Well, that's about it, everyone. So let's see here. I think we've covered it all. I'm sure even more will come out as soon as I post this. No doubt a changelog or patch notes get posted literally 15 seconds after I click the upload button. But if not, hey, get out there and ask for it like I did. Maybe it'll happen. If not, consult the player base if you have a question, or just go to the wiki, because it makes a lot more sense now. But that concludes the update news, guys and gals. Have a good one. Enjoy what's left of your summer, and until next time, everybody, peace.